The class divide of the future is going to be who can read and critically think and who cannot. Let me explain.
Well, I have to ask this as one educator to another. How are people currently treated that can read and critically think versus those who cannot right now? Yeah, see, that's the problem with this, is that, I mean, I understand from the academic sense that maybe that makes sense, and it's going to sound really good to a lot of parents, but the reality is that no, people who can read and are literate and can do critical thinking skills and so on, like, they're treated terribly right now, and that will continue, by the way. None of these big companies want that. Imagine somebody walking into a company, who could read and critically think right now in today's world, and there's no sign of that changing anytime soon. Like, this is just objective reality that I'm talking about. I'm talking about some theoretical world where, in other words, which are we headed towards? Interstellar or idiocracy? We all kind of know, it's not Interstellar isn't profitable for anybody, right? That's not profitable for any of the companies. It's not profitable for governments. Governments don't like that. Do governments want people who can read history and think critically? If they did, then nobody would ever vote for any of these people, right? I mean, in other words, if everybody actually sat down and read Gibbon, the decline and fall, history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, would they vote for any of these people? Not on a bet. In fact, there'd probably be a revolution by tomorrow morning at 6. If they just understood how their financial system, if their money system, if they understood that, there'd be a revolution by 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, no, I mean, like, this is just, to me, this just seems like, yes, it sounds good in theory, and it's a great sales pitch. I'm not picking on you either. I'm just saying it's a great sales pitch to get people to, like, spend even more money, go into even more debt, into more college and tutors and on and on. But let's be real, that isn't rewarded anymore, and hasn't been for a very long time. I know so many people who are exceptionally literate and are exceptionally well educated, autodidactic, right? So, I mean, there's not even through academia, just they continue their own education because of the discipline of education. And they're critical thinkers. In fact, that's all they do. And they're treated terribly, not just by corporate America, but by everybody. So no, I think that what you're probably saying is, you're saying that the class divide is going to be people who can fit in with the current disaster, the direction we're going, and those who don't fit in. Now that would be a bit more accurate. And those of us out here who actually do read and are critical thinkers, we don't fit into any of that. Not in the real world. And again, I'm talking about the real world, not academia, because academia is its own little bubble of theory and hypothesis. It's not the practical reality on the ground of what people are dealing with out here. Unless you just want to have a civilization of people who just go into academia and just keep reteaching the same old stuff. Like, that's actually how you stifle evolution altogether. Actually, it's just an adherence to, an obedience to a way of thought that just continues to just regurgitate itself over and over and over and over and over, as opposed to saying, hold on, let's look around a little bit. Let's see if there's some other ways to look at this. I'm not being critical. I'm not being critical of you either. I'm just simply pointing out from a on-the-ground, real-world perspective of what I'm seeing. I don't know that is going to solve any of these problems, especially when money is printed from nothing.